Hello again. In this lesson we'll be looking at adding and subtracting fractions, and I've chosen a place where fractions tend to turn up whether you like it or not. Here's a photograph, and in a minute I'll give you its measurements. Now when you measure real life objects using metric units, you usually get decimal fractions, or if you're lucky, whole numbers. But when you measure using imperial units like feet and inches, you usually get fractions. So here's my photograph, and I've measured it in inches. It's 6 1/4 inches wide and 8 5/8 inches tall. Now I've done this quite deliberately to let you prove to yourself that you can tackle any sort of problem even when it isn't in the nicest form. What we'll do with this imperial photo is to calculate its perimeter. And that means we need to do the fraction addition 6 1/4 plus 8 5/8 plus 6 1/4 plus 8 5/8. So let's do it. With a fraction addition like this, you have a choice. Do you collect the whole numbers together and then deal with the fractions, or do you add the mixed numbers? Well, you get that choice, because a mixed number like 6 1/4 is actually 6 plus 1/4, and you can do additions in any order that you like. Now I'm going to do this one by collecting the whole number parts together first. So I've got 6 plus 8, which is 14, plus 6, which makes 20, plus 8, which makes 28. So I need to work out 28 plus the fractional bits. Now remember how it is that we add fractions. We've got a mixture here of two types of fraction. We have quarters and we have eighths. Well, you can't add those directly. So we need to turn each of them into an equivalent fraction so that they have the same denominator. And that means you're looking for a common multiple of 4 and 8. And for best results, you want the lowest common multiple. You've got a surefire way of finding the lowest common multiple in any situation. And I'll remind you of how that works in a minute. But in this problem, we don't need it. The lowest common multiple of 4 and 8 is pretty obviously 8 itself, because 4 goes into 8, and so, unsurprisingly, does 8. So let's turn each of these fractions into an equivalent fraction with the denominator 8, and then we can add them all up and add that to the 28. So 1/4 is 2/8, 5/8 is 5/8, another 2/8 here, and another 5/8. Now that the fractions are all 8s, we can add them all up and add them to the 28. So 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So to add to our 28, we have 14/8 altogether. Now of course 14/8 is an improper fraction. 14 is bigger than 8. So this will give us a mixed number, and we'll have to remember to add the whole number part we get from here to the 28 that we already have. 14 over 8 is 1 6/8. So now we have 28 plus 1 6/8, but of course it's always best to give fractions in their lowest terms. 1 6/8 simplifies to 1 3/4. And now we can put this part of the answer together with the 28 we calculated before, and our final answer is that the perimeter of the photograph equals 29 3/4, and we mustn't forget the units. Those are inches. So that's a fraction addition, and I think you'll agree that you're not likely to have any problems with those. So how about a fraction subtraction, like this one? 11/18 subtract 7/24. Subtraction is pretty much like addition for fractions. The key step is to turn these into equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So we're looking for a common multiple of 18 and 24, and for the best effect we want the lowest common multiple we can find. And here's a reminder of how to find that lowest common multiple. We start with 18 and we work out its prime factorisation. That's pretty much mental maths. 18 is 2 times 9. 2 is a prime number and 9 is 3 times 3. And 3 is a prime number. So the prime factors of 18 are 2 times 3 times 3. And 24 is just as straightforward. 24 is 2 times 12. 2 is a prime number. 12, well, that's 2 times 6. 2 is a prime number, 6 isn't. 6 is 2 times 3. So the prime factors of 24 are 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Now, for the lowest common multiple of 18 and 24. I start with these prime factors. Let me have a look. There's a 2 here and a 2 here. So there'll be a 2 in the lowest common multiple, and because 2 is a common factor of 18 and 24, I can cross it out here and here as well so that I don't repeat it unnecessarily. Now there'll be a 3, and again that's a common factor because there's a 3 here. So I'll cross this one out here and again here. There's another 3 now, and that isn't a common factor, so we can't cross anything out. And then we have a look at the factors of 24. What's left we haven't dealt with? There's a 2 and another 2. So the lowest common multiple of 18 and 24 will be 2 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 2. Now in your head, or using a calculator, that makes 72. So the lowest common multiple of 18 and 24 is 72, and we need to turn these two fractions into equivalent fractions that have 72 as their denominator. Well, that's not at all difficult. 11 over 18 becomes 44 over 72, and that's because I had to multiply 18 by 4 to get 72, so I have to do the same to 11. Multiply it by 4 and you get 44. And 7 over 24 becomes 21 over 72, and this time I had to multiply top and bottom by 3. So now that everything is in 70 seconds, we can just subtract. 44 minus 21 is 23. 23 over 72. The last step is to check that the answer can't be written better, either by writing it as a mixed number or by simplifying it. Well, this time we've got a proper fraction, so no mixed numbers, and also 23 and 72 don't have any common factors. I'm sure of that because 23 is a prime number, so it doesn't have any factors, at least not any useful ones, just itself and 1. So this is our final answer, and we've proved in this lesson that we can add or subtract fractions. In the next lesson we'll look at multiplying and dividing. So good luck with your exercises, and I'll see you then.